I'm Tom, and this is the Gospel according to St. Mark. Have you ever had a problem where you felt like God was not hearing your prayers? And maybe you had something that had been bothering you for a long time and you felt like God wasn't listening. Well, in today's reading, we're going to hear a story about a woman who had the same kind of concern. She had a problem that had not been healed and had not been fixed in her life, and she was going to bring that to Jesus. And here's how the story goes. The large crowd followed Jesus and pressed in on him. Now there was a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all that she had, and she was no better but rather grew worse. Now for her, she was what was known at that time as Zeba. It meant that she was a ritually impure person because of all of the blood flow that was going through her body. She was always in a state of impurity. And she would find herself isolated a lot because she wasn't allowed to go out into public and be in public places and do what people normally do. We also learn from the passage that she has suffered much under doctors and had given all of her money away just in the hopes of being healed. But on and on as this has been going on, she just finds that her prayer has not been answered. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, for she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I'll be made well." Now, what we see in the woman is this great deal of faith, that she's willing, despite all that she's been through and everything that she's gone through in her life, she's going to reach out to Jesus and hoped for the gift of healing. Now, when she does this, when she reaches out to him in faith, immediately her hemorrhage stopped and she felt on her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately aware that the power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And his disciples said to him, You see the crowd is pressing in on you. How can you say, 'Who touched me?'" He looked all around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling. Fear fell down before him and told him the whole truth. Now this woman is at the mixture of the greatest joy in her life and the greatest fear in her life. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." And I think that what this woman is going through is something that a lot of us can relate to in the life of faith. We go about our everyday lives and we have our own hopes and our own concerns and our own worries, and we ask God to help us with our problems. And maybe we feel our problem is too insignificant or not important enough, or maybe we feel like it's too big and that God can't do anything with it. What this story shows us is that if we reach out to Jesus in faith, if we put ourselves out there, if we believe that he can do what he says he can do, then great things can happen, miracles can happen, and you can be a part of that. For people like me and for people like you, this is a call for hope. So if whatever you're dealing with in your life right now, don't lose sight of that hope, that God can do great things in your life, that if you reach out to him in faith, that he can change your situation, and that God has great things in store for you.